Hello, welcome to Adaptive Pilates. My name is Di, and I'll take you through the session today. It will take about half an hour. So for those of you who've done Pilates before, you will know that most of the time you do some exercises from the floor. We're not doing that today. So all the exercises that we go through will be done either from a seated position, but from a standing position, but can also be done seated. And then we will use a seated position for some of the core exercises. So we'll be doing things in a Pilates style, which means there's also visualization. Idea of that is that you get a mental picture of what you're trying to achieve. Feels a bit weird to start with, but try and go with it. Safety point of view, none of these exercises should hurt. So if you feel any pain, don't work through it, okay? At times I'll be saying things like stretch out or put your arm here, do this. Work to your range of movement. If I got my arms up here and you can just get yours to here, that's absolutely fine. By initiating that movement, you are using the muscles. So work to your own range of movement. The only equipment that you will need is a chair, something that we can use to sit in, preferably something like this rather than a comfy chair because you want a firm base. It will also be useful for supporting some of the balance exercises. Okay, so we'll get going. We'll start with posture. So if you start with your feet together, and that applies if you're sitting on the chair as well, bring your toes out to 45 degrees, heels out to join them. So that ensures that ankles, knees, hips are all in alignment. Imagine you have a piece of string starting on your pubic bone, and it's coming all the way through the body, out to the top of the head, and somebody's just pulling you up to the ceiling, lengthening the spine, lengthening the neck. Okay. Roll the shoulders forwards, bring them up to the ears, circle them round, and then slide the shoulder blades down into the back pockets of your trousers. So that ensures that you're now full, low neck, low shoulders, long neck. Okay, hands onto your hips. Tilt the pelvis backwards and forwards. So from side on, looks like that. So imagine that your pelvis is a bucket of water. And at the moment you're trying to tip the water out of the front and the back. This does work from a seated position as well, but it feels a bit strange. Now we're looking for neutral spine. So what you want to do now is try and find the point where that water sits level. Bit of gut feel. I think mine's back there. So that ensures that we're making the most of the natural curves of the spine and that the spine is in its strongest position. Pull up through the pelvic floor, in round the middle, up and in as tightly as you can. Loosen off halfway, and then loosen up a little bit more. So you can feel that you're pulling in, but it's comfortable, you can breathe normally. Arms back down both sides. So we're going to start with mobilisation. So take a breath in, and as you breathe out, just turn your head to the right. Breathe back into the middle. And out to the left. Back into the middle. So try and keep the shoulders low and the rest of the body stable as that head turns. Then last one, out to the left. And back to the middle. And then let your chin drop onto your chest. We're just going to hold that there for a couple of breaths. And next time you breathe in, look straight ahead. Breathe out, tilt the head back just a little bit so you're looking up to the ceiling. And back to the center. Now I'm going to stretch down the side of the neck. So just bring the right ear down towards the right shoulder. Just make sure that the opposite shoulder stays low. Back into the middle. And now left ear to left shoulder, but just keeping the right shoulder low. And back to the middle. So we're going to roll the shoulders forward now. So make these circles as big as you can. And if you haven't done anything like this for a while, you may well hear some grinding or clunking. Mine clunk quite a lot. And then we're changing direction again. Just keep breathing. Again, just slide the shoulder blades down to the back pockets of the trousers so you're finishing with that long neck. Okay. So we're going to do some arm raises, just work to your own range of movement. Imagine that the right arm is on a helium balloon. So take a breath in, and as you breathe out, that arm is just floating up as far as you can go, no higher than sort of head height. And then breathe in, push the balloon back down to your side. Changing sides. So as the arms floating up, try and make sure that the shoulders stay where they are. You don't want to bring the shoulder up towards the ear. And breathe out. And in. Okay. So we're now going to do a little bit of rotation. If you're okay with the arms out in front, bring them out. If you're about to hug somebody, if that's not a comfortable position, you can alternatively just bring the hands across the chest. So we're just going to take another breath in, and then breathe out, just turn to the right. Breathe back into the middle, and out to the left. So you turn the shoulders, but let the hips go with the shoulders. That will ensure that if you have any back problems or any osteoporosis in the spine, you won't be putting any additional pressure on the spine. Last one. Arms back down by your sides. Now I want you to think about where your weight is with your point of contact on the floor or on your chair. So if you're standing, at the moment your weight should feel fairly equally balanced between your left and your right feet. If you're sitting, it should feel fairly equally balanced between the left and right foot. As we slide down to the side, I'm just trying to maintain that weight. Okay? So breath in, and then as you breathe out, slide down. Just imagine you have an itch on the side of the leg, or you're just reaching down beyond the side of the chair. So now keeping the weight equally balanced, you're keeping the hips and pelvis level, and just getting extension down the side. Doesn't have to be a big movement. Go for one more each way. Right. So we're going to come down to lower body now. We're going to start with knee raises. So I would recommend that you, certainly to start with, have something there that you can support yourself with. I'll hand you on the hip. And this works equally well if you are sitting. Just trying to bring one knee up and keep that tall position. You'll notice everything in Pilates is done very slowly. That's partly because we're looking to build control, and control is harder when you do things slower. But it's also because the muscles are then under tension for longer, so they work harder. Do one more on each side if you can. Okay, so we're going to open out the hip now. We do that with a quarter moon to start with, so toes pointing forwards, bring that leg out to the side and back in. So there are a couple of alternatives. If you're sitting, you can just lift the knee up, take it out to the corner of the chair, bring it back down, up, in, and back down. And again, you try and stand up tall. If you want a harder standing option and balance isn't an issue, you can bring that knee up, open the gate, back in, and down. Okay, so just do a few of those. And then changing sides. And what I'm trying to do is make sure that nothing else other than this leg is moving. And the tummy is still pulled in. I'm still trying to keep the shoulders relaxed. And just do one more. Great. So the next one we're going to do some heel raises. So this mobilizes the ankle, but it also strengthens the calf and is very good for proprioception. So for that awareness of where you are and where the feet are in relation to the rest of the body in space, that sort of thing. So to start with, bring the heels back in together, so you're in that V position. Recommend support. If you're standing, the aim is to try and keep the legs squeezed together. So you'll see that there's no gapping between my legs. As I am lifting, I'm squeezing buttocks, the glutes, and the legs to maintain that contact. If you're sitting, that won't be possible. So your aim is to keep the ankles or keep the heels in contact. Just do two more, so squeezing everything. And then I'm going to do four with the heels out, back in line. So now the aim is to try and keep the foot, ankle, and lower leg aligned. So the ankle will probably want to just roll out to the side. If you come up, bringing your weight through the big toe and the second toe, it will be easier to keep the ankles in line. Just try and pause for a second at the top of the move. Okay. Well done. So the next one we're going to do now is coming on to more of the strength element. So just check what we're going to work with. We're going to do bicep curls. So if you do have weights or a resistance band, you can use them at this point, but I'm just going to do range of movement. So elbows tucked into my waist, palms are forward, and I'm just going to create a loose fist. So I'm not clenching, it's just loose. So you kind of like that. Best hand side on. I'm going to start with the arms straight. Take a breath in and then breathe out curl up just to there. And then breathe in, spread the fingers out, coming back into your straight position. Again, curling up. Open the hands out. By keeping the elbows tucked in, you're protecting the joints. So having worked the biceps, we want to work the triceps, which is the back of the upper arm. So turn the hands round. Take them slightly behind the body line. And then push back. Imagine that you're pushing onto a small spring. And it's just bouncing you back and forth. Again, keep the shoulders low. Arms are straight. And it's just a little push. And relax there. Okay. So the next one we're going to do is to work the glutes. The glutes are the big muscles in the buttocks. If they're weak or not firing, it can be a cause of back pain because the back is having to do too much work. So it's quite important that we work on the glutes. I'll show you the standing version first, but then I'll show you a different one for seated. So for standing, I'm going to take the toes out to that forward, on the right foot, take the toes out to that 45-degree position, and then push back. So side on, looks like that. So I'm trying to keep up really tall, and to get that leg back, I'm really clenching this butt cheek. Okay, if you're seated, there's not a lot to look at, to be fair. So what you're going to do is then clench the buttocks. As you clench, you'll get slightly pushed up in the chair. So breathe out. And back in. If you look very carefully, you might just see that my torso is rising up maybe a centimetre. The good news is that this one, you can feel the difference quite quickly. So if you're standing, change legs if you haven't already. And last one. Okay, so everybody into a chair. We're going to work the quads. So they're the big thigh muscles. We're going to do it from a chair and come to standing, sitting back down again. It's really important to have the strong leg muscles because we want to protect the knees. Obviously, you need strong legs just for getting around, doing normal things. But also, if you have arthritic knees, for example, strengthening the legs can protect them because it supports them. By doing these exercises instead of squats, for example, we can work to a bigger range of movement and a greater level of control. So sit forwards in your chair. Say the front third, so you have got the back between you and you're sitting up really tall. Bring the heels back, so push me out a little bit. Sorry, my chair is horribly squeaky. So bring the heels back a little bit. If you need to support yourself, just bring your hands onto your thighs. Breath in, and then as you breathe out, you're going to power up to standing. So sitting down, we want to take as much control as possible. So sit down as slowly as you can, coming onto that chair. Okay? So forward. If you don't need to power through, putting a hand on the thighs, and just keep them out to the side. So you're trying to stand up with power, sit down with control. Try one or two more. Well done. So we're going to come on to the core now. We can do some seated core exercises. I'm changing my chair again. So in normal posture, you've got your ankles under your knees, sitting up tall. Just drop your chin into your chest and cross the arms over the chest. So keeping the back straight, you're going to take a breath in, and as you breathe out, squeeze your abdominal, your tummy muscles, and lean back. It could be that you can touch the chair with your shoulders. It could be that you don't go that far. Again, squeeze the abdominals to come up tall. So just go as far as you feel comfortable with. You need to be able to keep the feet on the floor. And back up. So we'll have you breathing out as you lean back. And breathe in as you sit back up. Let's try one more. So the core is made up of the muscles we've just worked down the front, made up of the muscles that come around the side that we use for bending and twisting, and it's also made up of the muscles in your back. So we're now going to come on to these side ones. So you can bring your hands to your ears. A nicer way might be to cross arms over the chest. All we're going to do, take a breath in and breathe out, turn to the corner of the chair. Breathe back in, come to the middle, and breathe out, turn to the other corner. So you can see it's a fairly small movement, but you should feel the muscles just inside trying to do something. Now, if you also want to add a little bit of balance to this, you can lift the knee that you're going towards. That also works the hip flexor in that leg as well. Keep your tummy pulled in. And just go one more each way. Okay. And then you hold on at the back of the chair and just push the chest out. We're looking to get a little bit of an arch in the back. Can't see it too well in this top. And relax. So just looking for that extension, shoulders back, chest forwards. And we'll do one more. Okay, so we're now going to work the fine motor skills in the hip. This exercise is normally done from a lying position with the knee up towards the ceiling, but it works equally well from the chair. In fact, in some regards, it's a little bit harder. So what we're aiming to do is bring one knee up. To start with, I recommend you maybe put your hands underneath it just to give it some support because it can feel quite heavy. But imagine that you have a pencil coming out of the front of the knee, and with that pencil, you're aiming to draw circles on the screen in front of you. So the aim is to make those circles slow and smooth. And I think this is probably one of the most underrated exercises in Pilates because it looks really easy, But certainly when I first tried it, I couldn't get a circle, neither triangles, couldn't understand how it was possible. And change direction. Now, if you don't need to support the hand, the next level would be to then try and create those circles without the support and without the guidance of the hands. And rest back down, just give that leg a little bit of shake. And then changing sides. So plan sit up tall, so hand knee up. And try and create those circles. Remember to keep breathing as well. The level of concentration can mean that you start to hold your breath on this one particularly. And change direction. You can see my circles aren't great. There is room for improvement. One more if you can. And back down, give that leg a shake as well. Okay, so now bring your arms down to your sides. Backs of your hands or your palms are facing behind you. Breath in, and as you breathe out, just rotate and try and squeeze the shoulder blades together. And relax. And squeeze. Last one. Well done. Okay, so we'll come into a little bit of stretch now. So again, just work to your own range of movement. We're going to move back so you can see our feet. We're going to start with hamstrings and calves. Up a bit further. So start with the right leg out in front of you, toes pointed. You're still sitting on the front third of your chair. And then sitting up really tall. You might feel that stretch already. If not, just hinge forward slightly, nice and slow till you start to feel the stretch in the back of the thigh. When you feel that, just hold it there. You shouldn't be shaking, so don't go to the point where you're shaking. Deep breaths. And then bring the toes up towards the ceiling. And changing sides. So just let the foot relax, toes pointing forwards, sitting up tall, and then just hinging forwards. Just the point where you can feel the stretch, but you're not shaking. And then toes pulled up, and then hinging forwards, hold it there, keep breathing. And a little bit closer now, we're going to stretch through the upper body, so you want to be able to see. So bring the arm forwards, bring it across the body, and then use the other hand to bring it in. Now don't worry if you can't get the arm to shoulder height, because even if you can bring it across there, you're still stretching that part of the shoulder, and that's what we want to achieve. So again, just work to your range of movement. And change sides. So bring the arms forward, elbows out wide, and push, As an alternative, have your hands on your knees, have them facing fingers in, and try and get the elbows out wide and push. What we're trying to do is stretch between the shoulder blades. So you're keeping the elbows wide just to lengthen those muscles. Chin on the chest just to protect the neck. You then want to stretch across the front of the chest. So a nice way of doing it is if you have something that you can hold on to on the chair, hold on to it. And holding there. And then just squeeze the elbows together. You should feel quite a nice stretch actually across the front of the chest. Arms down by your sides. Bring the shoulders up as high as you can to the ears. And then push them back down. So breathe in as you're drawing them up to the ears. And then breathe out, push back down. We're going to do one more, but you're not going to push down, you're going to relax. So breathe in. And you breathe out, just let the shoulders relax back down. So we're going to come into a full stretch now. So just stretch as much as you're able to. Breath in. And relax. Good work.